This is going to be part 2 of the series of tutorials for completing the exercise known as Excel HR and cash flow. And in part 1, we got as far as the end of the instructions on part 1. The last step was like 26, 27. The screenshot was, yep. Then part 2 starts the numbering all over again. So part 2 is to use the same file, but this time we're switching to the cash flow worksheet. So just like we were on the personnel worksheet before, we're switching to cash flow, which already has, some information that we're going to, fix, change, and so on. In cell B7, we're going to create a formula without using a function. Now we know what that means. It means that it's only cell numbers that are or cell addresses that are multiplied, divided, and so on to determine the profit generated from the auto insurance policies by subtracting auto expenses from auto sales. The expenses are B6 and the sales are B5. So it's B5 minus B6. Or, to put it very simply, this company sells insurance. One of the things they sell is auto insurance. They sold 35 grand of insurance, but their expenses were 31. So how much profit did they make? 35 minus 31. Or in other words, in B7, instead of typing the numbers, we're going to type the cell addresses. Equals B5 minus B6. What I made minus what I spent. Just like any person or company, that's what's left over. Save. Copy the formula you created in cell B5 to the range C7, D7, because just like we want to know how much profit we made from auto insurance, we want to know how much profit we made from home insurance and life insurance. We all, for each one of them, there's a income, like how much we sold, but also how much we spend, and the profit is one minus the other. So there's no need to write the formula all over again. Fill handle, drag, profit, profit, profit. Save. Select the range E5, E7, and then click the Home tab, the Editing group, and the Sum, which looks like the Greek letter sigma, to calculate the totals of these categories across all 3 types of ranges. So, just like it says here, I select E5 through E7 and that little button that looks like the Greek letter sigma. Select all 3, Home, sigma. Now, there is a chance, you might see it, you might not, that it looks like hashtags, but we know what those hashtags means. It doesn't mean we made an error. It means that the numbers are too big to fit into the column. So it doesn't even tell you to do it. It's like self-explanatory that I can either make the column wider or double-click on its right border to make it auto-fit. Step number 5. Since you edited the worksheet, the content of cell A9 is no longer accurate. Click on cell A9 and clear its contents. Now, A9 says that this was last edited April 10th, 2021. You're editing it a lot, later than that. Notice that it's A9, not B9, because A9 just, spills. It's like a longer text, but we don't need it anyway. Now, how do we clear the contents of a cell? The instinct is just to hit delete or backspace, but that sometimes deletes also the format. I don't want to delete the format. All I want to delete is the content. Or clear the content. So in the Home tab, in the Editing group, I got this little, eraser icon. Pull down and clear contents, and it keeps everything else the same. Save. We're going to select cell G8 and apply text wrap. This is very useful. Look at cell G8. Again, it's one of those cells where the words don't fit. I can make column G really wide, but I don't really need it because I'm not using column G for anything else other than this cell. So a better solution in this case would be to select cell G8, and go to the Home tab. In the alignment group, there's text wrap and wrap text. And wrap text means keep the column the same width, but make the text wrap to as many lines as it needs to fit height-wise instead of width-wise. It shows you exactly where to get to that. Then we're going to select merge and center A1 through E1. Look at how, it doesn't really go all the way. So A1 through E1, merge and center. A2 through E2, merge and center. Sometimes it takes 2 clicks. Select B5, E7, and change the format to currency, no decimals. Notice that all of those, you might ask, hey, that's already currency. It's actually a different format right now, which is also used for money, called accounting. And we'll see the difference. Accounting simply puts the dollar sign all the way to the left, regardless of the size of the number, so there might be a little gap. And it also puts a little comma after every 3 digits, like every thousands or hundreds of thousands and so on. Like you see, hundreds of thousands, hundreds of dollars, that comma. This is customary in accounting, but if we're not in the accounting business, we're going to select all of this and change the format from accounting to currency, which puts the dollar sign right up against the number, but we don't really need to see cents. It's a little, petty to see cents. So in those little 2 arrows under the format, there's one for increasing, but we want to decrease 1, 2, and it becomes nice round dollars. Currency, no decimals. In cell A9, we're going to enter the words last edited. Enter. Maybe I'll make a little wider. And give cell, sorry, missing an L here, A9 the style accent 5. So in order to look kind of like it belongs, this cell styles are right here in the Home tab styles group. And the one I want is accent 5. Here is accent 5. No, I didn't want that. I wanted to save. And in B9, we're going to enter a formula. Instead of having like a fixed date, we want a date that always updates like automatically. A formula with a function that displays today's date, and it's a really simple function. It's equals today, open, close parentheses. There's nothing between the opening and the close. So right here, equals today, open, close parentheses, enter. Now, notice how this is really weird. Instead of a date, it shows me a number because it doesn't know that I'm talking about a day. So right now, it just shows you a number. Kind of like, star date, blah, 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 on Star Trek. It will show a number. So we're going to change the format of B9 to long date. Long date means it shows in words like, Monday, August 13, so on. From number to long date. And again, what does that mean? That it doesn't have enough room to show. So adjust column width if needed. And we know that there's more than one way. I can auto by double click on the border between A and B. And here it is, Wednesday, August 13th. This happens to be the day I'm recording this video. And select B9, E9, merge and center. B9, E9, merge and center. And then it says to give it accent 2, the style accent 2. And that's under cell styles, accent 2. Save. Last edited. And this, every time you open this will update because it's not an exact date. It's today's date, whatever today is. In A2, change the text to Jan 1st to Jan 31st. I'm going to copy that. A2, see, it's no longer correct. So I'm going to type or whatever. I find it easier to type or even copy paste in the formula bar. On A10, enter the words first day of range and accent 5. And I'm going to do already like A11, last day of range. A10, first day of range, enter, and 11, last day of range. And again, if the column widths don't work, double click, it automatically adjusts. And to give them both the styles accent 5, select. Actually, there's one more, first day of range, last day of range, and working days on the next one. I'm going to give all three of them cell styles accent 5. Then, what are we doing here? This is from January 1st to December 31st, 2025. We all know that a year has 365 days, but it doesn't have 365 working days. How do we know the working days? We can do it very slowly and very manually by looking at a calendar and going, there's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe we work on Friday, skip Saturday, skip Sunday, start counting again, then we run into a holiday and so on, and we'll lose count and do it wrong. Excel can actually do it for us. We can give it a range of dates as long as the range is formatted correctly, and it can count the actual working days in the calendar between those two dates. So all we got to give it is the two dates. So in AutoFit if needed, and here we go. On B10, we're going to enter this day, 1/1. This is how we write, the format for short date. B10, which is right here. 1/1 2025. Again, it shows number. We're going to change that later on. And format is short date. Same thing here, only instead of 1/1, 12/31, we write the date, the American way, month, day, because, we're in the United States right now. And again, enter. It knows already because the one above it is a short date, so this is also going to be a short date. Format is short date, and in B12, enter a formula using the function called networking days function to calculate the number of business days between B10 and B11. So in this case, it's one of the only places where we don't use a colon, we use a comma. We're saying it's not like a range, it's a start date and an end date. B10 is the start date, B11 is the end date. So equals. As soon as I type net, it suggests either network days, which is the United States, or network days international. I'm going to go for network days for the working days for the United States. Then it'll ask, what's your start date? My start date is B10, comma, what's your end date? B11. And as soon as I type enter, it calculated that in that year there were 261 work days out of the 365 days overall in the year. And also make sure that we format is a number, because right now it's general. I want the number of days. Also, I'm going to make sure that there's no decimals, because there's no 0.2 of a day. But those are definitely numbers. So 1 decimal get rid of, 2 decimals get rid of, nice round number of days. We're going to style B10, B13 as accent 2, and then we're going to go ahead and merge across those three rows. So accent 2 for all three of those. Now, it's very tempting to also go, oh, let me merge and center all of them together, but then it'll merge all of them into one big cell. I don't want that. So first I'm going to merge and center each row at a time. Good. Save. In D8, enter the words grand total, align right and align middle. D8, D8, the word grand total. And I think, it's self-explanatory what that is for. Now, the other thing I'll do, you see how it like aligns to the bottom? We're going to align it middle, which is the middle between up and down, and center. Oh, sorry, right, not center. We align it right, so it's right up against the right edge. If D was wider, you could see that it's attaches itself to the right. But as long as it fits, I'm cool. And in cell D8, enter a sum function to sum the values between E5 and E7, align right and middle. So it's, of course, going to be equals sum E5, E7. Right here equals sum. It's like, how much are we making from all of it, all the totals here, all the totals here, all the totals here. And it comes up to this. The end result should look like this. Yep, it does. And this one is also going to be middle and right and middle. Good. Save. This is what the end result looks like. And that's it. At this point, of course, one last save before I close the document and submit by the due date. Good luck.